Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, hello.
I think my mic is working this time.
Yes, it is.
So, day 2 of our co-streaming sessions with special guest Ronnie van Doorn.
Yep,
Hello.
to the right. Yeah,
That guy.
yeah. How are you doing, Ronnie?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks.
Nice.
Excited for the videos?
Very.
Nice.
It's good to have you back again.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a while.
it's been a while
It
indeed.
has.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for those of you for those of the viewers who do not know who you are, can you give us a brief description of who you are and well, why do you think you're here?
And what do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hello everybody. I'm Ronnie van Doorn. I'm a UX consultant within TimeSeries, and I'm focusing on making apps better for the users, visually and how you say it, interfacially. Kind of a wrong term, I guess. But yeah, make the apps easier on the end users for them to use all the fancy stuff that you can do in Mendix.
Sounds good.
Cool.
I wonder who
So
invited
that's
you. It
why
sounds
we're
like
here, watching those UX videos of Mendix and see what they have for us.
Yep.
Yeah, very curious. That's why we asked you, right? You're the
Yeah.
expert.
Yes.
Absolutely. So if anybody in chat has any questions, UX or UI related, just post them in chat. We'll be monitoring it and relaying the messages to Ronnie.
Nice.
And we have a slight we have a slight change of plans. Well, not really, because in the agenda it said we are going to watch The Power of UX Realized first. That video has been renamed and is now called Incorporate Users in the Design Process, How the Mendix Platform Team Does It. So it's the same video, but a different name. So that's the one we're gonna watch first. Yeah, it's a mouthful.
It's in the name. I think today's videos are a bit longer than yesterday's, right?
Yeah, the one we're going to watch now is about 25 minutes, and the next one is about 32, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So I say without further
Ado, fasten your seatbelt.
fasten your seatbelts and let's go.
Yep, let's go.
You ready? Okay.
I am.
Yes.
More value in less time. That's the dream, right? So today I'm going to show you how to achieve just that by combining the focus on user experience with fast application development that Mendix empowers you to do. So let's get started. My name is Jelena Golubovic, and I'm a product manager here at Mendix. But before I became a product manager, I was a UX researcher, uncovering user needs and turning those into actionable insights. So user experience matters, but how much does it matter really? Well, according to Forrester research, every dollar you invest in user experience returns on average $100, which is a huge amount of ROI. And how does that happen exactly? Well, first off, if you invest in better
ROI.
Sorry?
I like that ROI.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's
user
hard to
experience, if
imagine.
Yeah, I'm curious. What are the ways to make that ROI? But I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. She's going to explain what it means, the big number, what it means, how you get there. Because it's of course not all done by one person. It's the whole package. If you apply it correctly, that gives you that head start.
Yeah.
Ah.
Okay, let's quickly continue.
If you focus on what your users need, the risk of building the wrong thing is significantly reduced. You know exactly which problem you're solving, why you're solving it, what the most important features are, what needs to be in the MVP scope, what can be done later. By the same token, If you know all these things in advance, you're reducing development waste. So no more broadening the scope or adding extra features after the launch, or refactoring things and reworking things because the requirements were not clear from the get-go. Third thing is better user experience helps lower support costs. And this is particularly relevant if you're building consumer apps. Better user experience means increased customer satisfaction, and increased customer satisfaction leads to higher loyalty. How does this work exactly? So when you're tasked to solve a problem by building an application, there is a number of ways you can go about it. There's a number of things you can do. So the number of possible solutions.
Another thing you kind of forget to mention with the fourth point is when the user interface is easier for the end user, they can get quicker to their end goal of what they are used to do every day at work. And so all the personnel, if you are developing for a business application, is working faster for the same work that they used to do.
Yeah.
So that's also an ROI investment that you get back.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is huge, and by learning more about user needs, you're reducing that number of solutions into something that fits into your time frame, budget, or other constraints. So by that time, if everything is as well defined as possible, it should be smooth sailing in the development stage. But if you only pick one solution that is not validated with users and you just go with it, the odds are that soon enough you're going to realize that you need to add an extra feature and another one, and adding those things increases your costs significantly, and the most costly changes happen after the launch. So you can reduce all that simply by making sure that user needs are well defined and your application and the problem is well defined in advance. So how do we do it at Mendix?
We've all been there, right? Where there's an MVP that's been scoped incorrectly.
Oh, so often.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to make an MVP scope correctly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we could do with some tips.
Very
Yeah.
true. You know what I often realize is that the business themselves don't know what they want.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the difficult part, right? You learn as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the. I think that's also a takeaway from this first part. You learn as you go. But if you do all those research stuff in front, I think that she's going to explain it in this part. Then you're also learning on the go.
Yeah.
But before you develop,
Exactly. Yeah. So
it's kind of the same thing. But then with researches, wireframes, and sketches, and questioning users before you start building. So you still learn on the go because that's just how it is.
that's part of the process.
Yeah. But then with lower development and change cost.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Important thing to note is that we at the Community and Collaboration Unit at Mendix are entirely a Mendix shop. So what that means is that we have teams of Mendix developers building Mendix apps for our Mendix makers. So today I'm going to share with you how we incorporated focus on user experience into our agile development with Mendix, and we're going to show you how you can do it too.
Like the different view that she's telling here in what I'm used to. Because with a Mendix developer, I think about the Mendix makers. She calls Mendix makers. For me, that are the Mendix developers.
Yeah.
But on her side, the Mendix developers are the people who are developing on the Mendix platform, and the Mendix developers I know are the Mendix makers for her.
Yeah.
So if we were in conversation and we would use the term Mendix developer, we both target a different person than we
Uh-huh.
think we are targeting.
That could very
Oh,
well
that's-
be, yeah.
That's a good distinction to make.
Yeah.
I'm going
So
to
that's
use
a kind of a cool look at something, and that you have to remember if you're talking to people and to different users, and that terms can be different, although you think they are not.
Yeah, don't assume you're talking about the same thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
assumptions. The mother of all F-ups.
Yep.
3 examples, and I'm going to take you through them, show you what we have done, how it worked, what impact it made, and provide you some tips on how you can do the same thing. So let's get right into it. First off, onboarding. Do you remember the first time you signed up to Mendix? What went through your mind? What you were trying to do? So currently, users that sign up to Mendix answer a couple of questions for us to assess their level of tech savviness and what they're trying to do. So we try to tailor their onboarding to them. But initially, users would just end up in Mendix online platform on the My Apps page, and it was their job to figure out how to enter the introduction tour we have prepared for them. So this is the introduction.
There wasn't even an introduction tour when I started with Mendix.
Nope.
Just like create an account and
good luck.
good effing luck.
Tour,
So many bugs on
but
that
they
site,
need
figuring out where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
needed to find a way to find that app, access it, open it in Studio. Can you guess how many distinct steps or distinct actions it took them to get there? The answer is 14. So they sign up, they want to
actually
see the
wrote that
tool, they want to get straight to it, and on average, they had to do 14 different things before they were able to find the tour. They were getting lost around the academy, they had trouble figuring out how to open the app in Studio. All sorts of things were happening, but this was unnecessary friction. So what we did was we made sure that our users land straight into the tour, because we knew that's what they wanted to do. This led to a huge increase in tour completion. And what this means is that not just for this particular example, but for any app you might be working on, there are always small patches of friction that you can simply remove. That could be one easy user story or two, and it could lead to a huge impact. So
I like
good.
this quote.
Yeah. It's a great example as well, right?
Yeah.
What they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, it's so powerful to have a product owner who was a UXer before. I'm also always trying at the companies where I'll be working to be the right hand of the product owner, so to speak.
Yeah.
It
So-
just saves so much time if you do these simple things and you see the huge increase. It's really cool.
That's the position you want to be in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Good hands-on experience is key when it comes to onboarding. And this is something where we already had a ready-made experience that we kept on improving. But once we're starting from scratch, it's a whole different ballgame. So once we realized that the tour in Studio might not be the best way for professional developers to get onboarded, we simply started by asking very broad general questions. What do professional developers, those that have a couple of years of experience with, say, Java or Python, but no experience with Mendix, how would they learn Mendix? What do they want to do? How do they generally learn new tools? So we interviewed dozens of different developers. We showed them some of the video content we have available. We asked them how they learned different tools that they're now proficient in. So we realized that professional developers learn by doing. They learn by building apps. They are willing to follow a tour or a tutorial, but they actually learn by building. So we decided to create an experience that enables them to do just that. Our onboarding for professional developers that was recently released gives them the opportunity to, first of all, download Studio Pro, because that's one of the first steps that they should do to get started by building. And next, we provided them content tailor-made to certain needs. So if they only have a short amount of time, we have an app they can learn how to build in less than 10 minutes. There's an experience that lasts maybe 1 or 2 hours, but there's also the proper academy crash course that's 10 to 12 hours of work. And we're going to keep on iterating on this experience because now we know
It's a 3-way of app building.
Yeah.
The quick and easy, do I like this kind of work? Or the, yeah, I'm very into this, I'm going to learn Mendix.
Yeah.
12-hour approach.
That's quite a commitment. 12 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so that's pretty cool that they have a short thing to see if you even like building things this way.
yeah, and I think the distinction is really important because when I started using Mendix, the only thing we could do while training was the Pizza Mario case you were given
Oh yeah.
by Mendix, and well, you had to come up with stories to build yourself, basically. So the fact that there is a 12-hour course now is really, really impressive, and I think really good.
Yeah, it really helps for the new people and for trainees and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
exactly how they want to be onboarded. So what does this mean for you? Better user experience actually improves the productivity of your users. Better Mendix onboarding means faster onboarding times for your developers. And it's the same with your products. Regardless of whether you're building an enterprise app or a consumer app, better user experience means that users take less time or it's more enjoyable for them to use that app. So if you're building an app for your colleagues, even small changes can make them a lot more productive. And that's definitely going to have an effect on the company's bottom line. So what can you do? If you already have an app, I would strongly encourage you to grab a colleague who is a user of your application or find a user of your application somewhere. Get them on a Zoom call and ask them to share their screen. Everybody should feel that moment of sheer horror when you look at someone using the app that you invested so much time and effort into building and doing completely opposite of what you imagined as a happy path.
This is so true.
This is so
Yep.
true. Yeah, we've done this in our last project, right, Willem?
Oh, we've done it often.
And
Yeah.
we did a demo, and we kind of bluntly asked one of our users, okay, would you like to do the demo? And there was a lot of hesitation and and what do I do and how does it work? And you actually saw the people uh, behaving completely different than we'd expect.
Yeah, it's so how do you say it? It's so in your face to see that the users are not doing what you think they should do. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, why?
That's one way to use the application.
Yeah.
But
And
it also
it's so awakening for the team.
Yeah.
for me, it also comes down to kind of like the patterns that you use when you build an app, and generally the age of the end users, because we've also seen like older end users who,
Yep.
well, they don't figure things out as easily. Yeah, that sounds a bit demeaning, but I hope you get what I mean.
Yeah.
They have a different reference where they come from.
Yes. Yeah.
So they are not used to using a lot of digital products.
That's
Mhm.
true. Yeah.
You see that with your probably with your parents and their mobile phone. I guess they can find their way around it, but if you see them use it, you're like, there's an easy way to do this.
Please
There's
don't.
a shortcut for this.
Let me help.
Yeah,
Let me do it.
That's
Before
It's a
that's a cool distinguish between users and what you think that the users will do.
Yeah, that's an assumption as well, right?
Yeah,
As a
it's also
developer,
Mm.
let's build it this way because I'm sure the users will do this
yeah.
without
Just look
verifying.
at it.
Yeah.
Really helpful.
To come back to the previous bit, we have a comment from Diederik. He says, or she, I feel the crash course is good to showcase what you can do with the platform, but to really learn, I had to find my own use case.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's for me personally, especially in the beginning, that was really difficult because I tend to come up with use cases that are in my comfort zone. So it was really hard to think of something that I haven't learned yet by that time.
Mm-hmm.
So well, you have to have a different mindset for that, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Formative experience. And what you see there, the friction you observe, that's going to feed into your user stories, which you're going to simply employ to improve the experience of the app. If you're embarking on a whole new project, take some time to talk to the users of the app. Try to figure out what their problem is, how they're currently solving it. That could be some sort of a legacy solution or a bunch of Excel spreadsheets. They have a certain workflow that they're used to, and you can make sure that your app reflects just that. Now, our second example today is platform experience, and today I'd like to take you through a couple of innovations we're preparing for you.
Ooh, new stuff.
So first of all, let's talk about navigation on the Mendix online platform. It's going to look something like this. So as you can see, now there is going to be a sidebar on the left, which helps you switch between different Mendix contexts. So if you want to manage your app landscape, you go to the control center. If you're more interested in learning, you go to Academy. And on the top, in the top bar, every single one of those contexts, for example, Academy, is going to have its own sub-navigation. So once you're in the context of a specific app, the sidebar does not need to be visible. Everything is there for you. And if you want to switch contexts, that's when you kind of expand it. So why does the navigation look like this? It comes from a bunch of testing. We started by doing cart sorting, asking users to put items that we currently had on the Mendix online platform together and group them so that we make sure that we group items in the navigation in a way that makes sense for our users. Once we got the preliminary grouping down, we did usability.
Very good exercise for big menus.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a lot of different users, take one from that you can distinguish, like if you have more elderly people using the app or very young people using the app, take one of the young people, one of the elder people, take a woman, take a man, bench them all together in one room and let them sort the menu out, because they all have different references of where something belongs. For example, if you have a barbecue special, is that kitchen or is that garden? Because
Okay.
you will never use it in your kitchen because it's for the barbecue and the barbecue in the garden. So, but some people will say, well, it's for cooking, so it goes in the kitchen. That's it. Some people say, no, I only use it for the barbecue. That's for garden stuff. If you put the barbecue in the garden, so we put it in the garden space. And it's very useful to see those different contexts and let them talk to each other about why they choose the different spaces and try to figure out which one is the best.
Actually, pretty smart.
Yeah. Pretty simple solution for a pretty big problem.
Yeah, and of course you will always have people who are still thinking it should be somewhere else, but you have the most input then from a lot of different people for a big menu. So it will really help you getting it 80 to 90% correct.
Yeah.
Testing with a prototype. And what I'm going to show you is the actual prototype we used. This is what it looked like. So what I'm trying to show you here is that this vaguely resembles the Mendix online platform, but you can see it's very low fidelity. And this is something you can do quickly as well. This is something that can easily be created in any tool you're comfortable using. It could be InVision or some proper tool for design. It could also be PowerPoint. It could be Paint. It could even be a piece of paper. The important thing is that you get your ideas down, you show it to someone that's going to be using the app, and you stop talking. You get them to talk to you about what they think the app is going to work. That feedback is going to help you realize what you need to make better. So for example, we were toying with different ideas of the sidebar. And by talking to our users, we realized that all of them appreciate having these headers you can see on the right. It helps them process what's in the sidebar easier. And most of Mendix makers were absolutely thrilled to have easy access to their projects right there in the sidebar. So the rightmost one was the winner. And as you can see, this is more or less what the navigation is going to look like today. So it doesn't matter if it's not fancy, if it's not full design. What matters is sharing your idea and getting feedback on it. Now, when it comes to the Mendix online platform, the new homepage is going to look something like this. It's similar to the My Apps page you already have, only this time you have the opportunity to use folders. We know that a lot of Mendix makers have dozens of apps that they create for different purposes, for demos, for testing, proofs of concept, and now all of those apps can be easily stored into dedicated places just for them. Just like before, you can switch between the list view and the tile view. And now I'm going to take you through a couple of more features that I think you're going to find interesting. First up, notifications. So let's say a Mendix maker
like to, on this way, make your own kind of filters.
Yeah. That's pretty
Nice.
cool.
Good idea.
I can already see myself organizing all the projects that I'm working on.
Yep.
With the dozens of projects, like most of them you don't use on a daily basis, and they just clutter up the space.
Yeah, I agree. Very helpful, this.
And then try out apps and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, one thing I was wondering, I see Mendix now making quite a switch to the sidebar. You also see it in Atlas UI, I think, with the new templates that they provided us with. Before it was, I think, all about the top bar. Is that something you recognize, Ronnie, the shift to sidebar usage?
Yeah, I noticed it as well. Also read something about it online, and the sidebar is getting more and more appreciated by people, especially now there are more widescreens, I think. That's the reason. You have so much space from left to right. It's easier to put a menu in there. And it's also a kind of away from how to say it, a reference from mobile navigations, because in mobile navigations most of the items are top to bottom, just like a sidebar.
Yeah.
So it's more of a you are used to a menu like that on your mobile phone.
Makes
so
sense.
It's kind of easier to just copy that on a desktop screen as well, and have a secondary menu bar on top if you need. Just like she showed here, you have your main bar on the left. When you choose one of those options, you have a bar on top that gives you options for the menu item where you're in.
Yeah. And it also supports the multi-channel experience. Yeah.
Way better. Yeah, because then you have the top menu is like the footer menu in your mobile.
Yeah.
And your hamburger menu that folds out as a vertical menu is in your left sidebar menu.
Yeah.
So it's more of people are getting used to these kind of navigation, that it's easier to copy it to desktop than what we're trying to do way in the beginning of mobile sites, that you are copying the desktop navigation to the mobile phone.
Yeah.
Never worked.
Nope.
No.
Is in charge of processing feedback for their application. Let's say they're in a bit of more of a product owner role. Now, with the new notification functionality, they're going to get notified immediately when there's a new feedback item to process. By the same token, they're going to receive a task to process that feedback item. And let's say that somebody is developing an app and trying to find an answer to a question. So they post that question on the forum. And now they can get notified immediately when there is an answer. They're also going to receive a task.
It's like a feature that should be already there.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm not in Sprinter that often, to be honest.
No, but if you use it,
No, but like the forum thing, if you're asking a question on the forum,
Yeah.
that you will get a notification when
True.
somebody's answering you. That's
very true.
To
That's cool.
simply
Okay.
mark that answer as accepted or rejected, which means that everybody in the maker community is going to benefit from a cleaner forum experience, because if they find that question a couple of months or even years down the line, they're going to know exactly which answer was useful, which is something that a lot of people forget to do. So the task serves there as a little reminder. But let's talk about very important, crucial notifications. Let's imagine something horrible is happening. Your CPU utilization is through the roof in the production environment. It's the scenario that nobody really wants to think about. But if it happens, you're going to get an alert in the form of the notification. And because we decided to take this Mendix experience one step further, in this case, if you really care about receiving this notification wherever you are or whatever you do, we can bring it right at your fingertips. You're going to be able to receive it as a push notification on your mobile device. So apart from that, I'm just going to give you a little sneak preview of what you might be able to do in the new Mendix Mobile App. You're going to be able to see all the notifications from the platform, but you're also going to have a settings functionality where you can choose which ones you really care about and want to have them as push notifications, and which ones you might want to receive in the app or not receive at all. So this means that in the case of an alert or something going wrong, most Mendix makers would like to have this opportunity to react quickly. We know that because we asked
platform experience.
yeah, it's a good example indeed.
Yeah, but maybe I'm a little skeptical, but if I want to get this notification on my phone, then I want to be able to respond to the notification from my phone. I want to be able to, I don't know, at least restart the environment. And I'm not sure if that's possible.
I kind of get what you mean, but I think you need more information to decide if you want to do something like that. And
yeah, maybe it's not tied to this notification per se, but I've been in a couple of situations where I really would have benefited from being able to log in to Sprinter on my phone and check the cloud environment and maybe press restart or stop application, or maybe even change the constant value or something.
You could go to the Sprinter environment, right?
Yeah, but
Just like
that
the website.
never worked for me, because I go to Sprinter, then I get a splash screen saying I need to download the Mendix Mobile App, which I had, but even starting the Mendix Mobile App didn't do anything because it only showed the buzz.
Okay.
yeah,
I hope that they'll fix that too then. Yeah.
But maybe that's too much for a phone screen. But like I said, I've been in a couple of situations where that would have been really helpful.
true.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
Yeah.
No, I just want to say maybe this is the step one of the revamping of the Sprinter environment for mobile phone.
That could very well be. Yeah.
that could be, yeah. I was gonna say on the other hand, if you've like me have been working on, like I said, a dozen apps, and you still get notifications on all those apps, the first thing I do when I get an email is just I click it and it goes into the trash bin because it's not my problem anymore.
Well, that's
So,
true. I guess you still get a lot of alerts from apps that you've been working on somewhere down the line, which maybe isn't, like you said, not your problem anymore. But I figure you can disable those.
Yeah, she told us that you can choose which notification you want to see or which ones you don't want to see. So
yeah. Oh, that's cool.
them, and this was one of the most attractive features and the most highly rated. So this means that they can react immediately inside the Mendix mobile app. They will be able to restart an environment or maybe alert a colleague who's still at work to do something. So This is something that is going to help prevent longer downtimes of your app because it enables quicker reaction. And finally, I would like to show you a prototype of the project dashboard. Project dashboard is meant to be your project at a glance. So everything you see here should make it easy to skim and figure out what's going on with this project. You can see the status of your environments, you can see the status of the current sprint, you can see the latest feedback items. This should be a very easy way to figure out the status of this project. But before we even get down to building this, we are going to validate this with you, other Mendix makers that are using the Mendix online platform, because we want to make sure that all the information here is the information that's actually relevant for you. So this is why we're going to show this prototype, get feedback from more developer types or product owners, everyone who's using Mendix developer platform, to make sure that everything that's on here makes sense to you. So what you can do is pretty much the same thing. There is no need to have a full-blown designer. If you have them, that's great. But if not, you can use PowerPoint and animations to kind of mimic a bit of interaction. You can draw on a piece of paper. What matters is validating your ideas early. Just show them to the user and get their feedback. And once you show them to the user, make sure not to ask them, is this okay? Don't you like this? Make sure to keep options open and let them tell you how they think the thing you are showing them is supposed to work. Always ask open questions and never, ever explain what you're showing to the user. They're the ones that are supposed to explain that back to you. Because, after all, they're the ones that are going to end up using the app that might look very much like the prototype that you're showing them, and your team is not going to be there to help them use it. They're probably going to be figuring it out on their own. So it should intuitively make sense to them. And thirdly, I would like to talk to you about stories. If you're using stories functionality in Mendix, you probably remember what the user interface used to look like. So recently it was changed to something more like this, and what we did was exactly what I proposed that you do as well. We were testing with a prototype, we were also using the old UI as a live product to kind of benchmark certain things, and we got the users to tell us their biggest pain points with the old version of stories. Then we asked them what they would like to be able to do, how their workflow looks like, what are some of the things that they might be missing in the old one, to make sure that everything they care about is right there on the overview page. And the things that are more general details are in the brand new stories detail page, which is just about to be released. So we made sure we got users' feedback from the get-go, but in this project, there is another interesting thing we've done. Immediately after releasing, we published information about the new stories UI on our Mendix community Slack. And community Slack is a place for makers to get together and share experiences. So we told them that the new version was coming out, and we encouraged them to send us their feedback. What resulted is a bunch of very useful points, and we were able to implement most of them pretty much right away. What I'm telling you is, immediately after the release is when you have your users' attention. There is something brand new, they're trying to use it. If there's an old version, they might be comparing it to the old version. That is the time when they're most likely to send you feedback. And you can use any means you want, from Mendix feedback widget to whatever means of communication you generally use inside of your company. What matters is that you use these points and you figure out which one of those are small bugs you might have missed, which ones of those are the things you should definitely prioritize, and which ones are nice to haves that you can leave for later. This does not mean you need to implement every single thing. For example, you can see the comment about the story ID right here on the right. We understand that for some users that's not relevant, but we know for a fact that for other users it's very important to be able to copy paste that story ID straight from the overview page, so we kept it there. What you can do in this situation is make sure to leverage the power of Mendix for building a quick prototype. You don't have to do it every single time, but if you're working with a functionality that's difficult to translate into static wireframes, things like searching or dragging and dropping.
Quick prototype and then feedback after release. And when the video started, she said, try and figure it out before development. It's kind of counterintuitive to each other.
It
But
kind of is, yeah.
of course, she meant after releasing a quick prototype and not releasing the MVP.
That must be it.
You can whip up a quick prototype in Mendix and show it to the users and make sure that the way it works makes sense to them. And after you release the app, I strongly urge you to just try to get their feedback. And pro tip, make sure to leave some space in the sprint immediately after the release to actually implement all that great feedback. Half a sprint will probably be enough because a lot of those things are going to be relatively small, and the bigger things are going to help you plan the next release.
Assumption.
So to
Half a sprint is a lot.
That is a lot. You'd be spending a week on stuff like this.
Yeah.
But she's referring, of course, to a quick prototype.
True.
So that's actually sprint 0.
Mm-hmm.
For this part of an application. It should be sprint 0, make a quick prototype. You can build it in Mendix if that's easier for all those technical stuff that a prototype has to do, or build it in a prototyping tool if you don't need fancy interactions with the data or something.
Yeah.
And then a half week or a week, if you have sprints of 2 weeks, isn't really that strange for changing up things of a prototype.
Okay.
to sum up,
Sorry?
Well, what I kind of want to say is that beforehand you don't really know everything that you're going to build, right?
No,
At
that's
least.
why you need those days afterwards.
No, but still, you do a sprint and then you work on functionality A, and then that's done, and then you start on functionality B. But B builds on A in this example, so it's hard to figure out everything that you're doing beforehand.
Yeah, that's correct. And smaller releases, like if you have a decent application, you want just add a new feature, then a half sprint's maybe too much. But if you're thinking about building a story tool, then you can build feature A, B, C, and D in one prototype.
Yeah.
And decide that you start with building A in sprint 1. Then you can go in sprint 0 after your prototype, take a half week, a week, whatever, half sprint to make A decent enough so you can start sprint 1.
Exactly.
And when sprint 1 is done, busy, you can start working on the feature B to improve,
exactly.
because you have the feedback from that sprint 0 where all those features were in one prototype, and you can then start iterating while you are building features every sprint.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah.
the path to better UX and the more value of your product starts from the very scratch. You figure out the problem your app is supposed to solve. You observe how users are currently solving that problem, and you try to make something that works.
This is most of the time just forgotten. Figure out the exact problem, what you are fixing with your application.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's just, yeah, we need a different application because we need it.
Yeah. Insert cricket sound.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the app that I'm currently building at my client, and I think they also forgot this step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's strange. It should be the first thing, but it's so oftenly forgotten.
Yeah, the app I'm currently building is an application that is taking over an older application. So the problem is, well, that older application is going down.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's a real problem
Yeah.
because you are building an application for users, and those users have a problem if that old application isn't there anymore. What is the problem that the users have? How can you solve it with a new application? Should it be the same application? Should it be a better application?
Yeah, because to solve the problem I just talked about, you could just keep the old application alive, and that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
But that's not really the solution.
No.
Anywho.
For them. You also test your ideas early with a wireframe that does not have to be properly designed. The only thing that matters is getting validation for your initial ideas. If it's important, if you're interested in an interaction, by all means try to build a quick prototype with Mendix. And finally, ask for feedback immediately after you.
There are a lot of quick design tools that you can build prototypes with, even PowerPoint.
Yeah, that's what
You
she
can
said.
make you can make clickable squares to link to slides to make a working prototype.
Seems like a hassle though.
It is, yeah. You can better use design tools.
Yeah.
I think I would rather just use Mendix.
Yeah,
and
same.
then
But
use the buttons without an action behind it.
yeah, but that's easy for us to say, right? Because we are Mendix developers.
True.
Yeah.
Release something new. That's the time when you have the most of your users' attention. Are we doing all 4 of these all the time? No. It depends on the project, it depends on the stage the product is in, and you don't have to do all 4 either. But if you're going to take one thing away from this presentation, make sure you do at least one. Depending on the project, depending on the stage the project is in, you can choose which one makes most sense. But getting that validation from users is actually what is going to reduce development time in the future. Or, in the words of the architect Frank Lloyd Wright, it's easier to fix a mistake with an eraser on a drawing board than with a sledgehammer at the construction site. And as for us,
Nice.
I'm going to encourage you to share what you think using different mediums. So if you have an idea for a new app or a feature, tell us about it in the ideas forum. We might not get to implementing some of those ideas immediately, but we do read and we do care. So a lot of the recent forum improvements came directly from what our Mendix community was writing on the ideas forum. We also might invite you to take part in user research using the chat functionality on the platform. And finally, do join Mendix community Slack to interact with other Mendix makers, but also to occasionally discuss with us some things that are related to our products. We're still going to make sure to get exactly what you need in order to be able to build better products for you. And I hope you're going to take that same way of working in order to build even better apps for your users. Thanks so much.
Yeah, nice one.
Cool.
That was a good video.
That was a good video, yeah. I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Some good takeaways.
Yeah.
I think I'm actually gonna try and focus a bit more on the interviewing and observing of the end users with my
Yeah.
current project.
That was
See how
my
that
plan
looks.
as well.
Yeah, it really helps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I like that this video is kind of Mendix platform focused. So if you're not a lot on the Mendix platform, you're like, yeah, whatever. In first glance, it's like, yeah, it's about the Mendix platform. I'm not using it very often. I couldn't care. But the way that they updated it and increased the user acceptance and usability, the way how they did it is very useful for every project. So it's a very nice example of things you can relate to, but not necessarily have to use a lot, but still can imagine how it would be on your project.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Cool.
And I really like the fact that they also give us a sneak peek
Yeah.
at what's the new Sprinter environment will look
Yeah, I was
like. So,
already checking if it's online. I think, oh, no.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where is it?
I'm a sucker for sneak peeks.
Yeah.
So I think that's a perfect way to close off this video.
Mhm.
How about we take like a 2-minute break to stretch our legs and dive into video number 2?
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
then we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Yes.
All right.